just going to sit that way? Like we're an old married couple that's having an argument in the car?
Yeah.
I ask you, like, what's wrong? And you're like, nothing.
Nothing. It's everything about my body language says I don't want to talk to you right now, right?
What are you doing?
I don't know. So
what?
Are we really starting it that way?
Sure.
Okay, all right. We're back. It's summer.
It is summer. It's too many weeks before we did another one of these.
I got a fun topic I want to talk about today. I brought it to you a little bit yesterday, but I got some stuff I want to throw at you to start this off.
All right. Fire away.
So maybe a bunch of you seen this stuff about ChatGPT and OpenAI, and ChatGPT is this open language model where basically it's a artificial intelligence that can pretty much read the entire internet. And
yeah, I got students at the university who try to use it to write papers.
Yeah, and so I've been reading some about this kind of stuff, and it's basically you can plug in stuff and it can, spit out information from the vastness of everything that we know, which is kind of crazy. But I was just reading this week.
But it's not thinking in the sense that we think. It's drawing from accumulated human knowledge that's available from the whole internet of things, right?
And then it's able to be descriptive about that information.
Right.
Yes. But there's another iteration of this going on that I didn't really realize till this week. And this gets into the whole idea of chatbots as companions.
No, don't tell me somebody's in a relationship with an AI. Is that where you're going with this? Is that what you're going to tell me?
I got a bunch of stuff. So real quick. So I was reading about this. I've got a little notes in front of me. So there's one company it mentions here. It says it's designed to serve as a personal AI companion for user, helping them engage in conversation, express their thoughts, feelings, even provide emotional support. That sounds good, right? In addition, it can learn
I don't know yet.
In addition, it can learn from user interactions by leveraging AI to respond better to individual preferences and communication styles.
Okay.
So we'll start there. It's designed to be more human-like. It's designed to provide this companionship for you.
So this is like the companion in Blade Runner.
A little bit, maybe. I didn't think about it that way, but
it is though. That's what you're describing. It's like the companion from Blade Runner.
So here's the first one I throw out. This is the
All right.
first headline that I saw about the craziness of this already.
All right.
A woman married her AI chatbot.
See, I knew it. I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. It takes human beings 5 seconds to come up with something and then decide to marry it.
No, but listen to her. Woman marries AI chatbot, says he is perfect, as she won't have to deal with his family.
Well, I mean, she's not wrong.
She's not wrong. I mean, but as I was reading about it, and it's this weird moment of the fact that like the way God made us as people, the way God He made us to be relational.
He made us to be in a relationship, absolutely.
And He made us to want to be in relationship with Him. He made us want to be in relationship with others.
But I mean, it gets a little weird if you suddenly sound like Brick, like I love lamp. You know what I mean? Like I love my wife. I love tacos. I don't know how many people realize, because I don't know how many of them take the Bible seriously. I don't know how many of them take the account of creation seriously. I think there are too many Christians who try to ask sort of science or physics questions of the first couple of 3 chapters of Genesis, and those may not be the best questions to ask of Genesis. The better questions to ask of Genesis is like, where did the world come from? Where did I come from? Who is God? Who am I in relationship to God? Who am I in relationship to other people?
What does this tell me about who God is? And
what does this tell me about how we're made?
Yes.
So how we are made, the Bible's very clear. We are hardwired to be in relationship. And I don't know how many people know that it's not like someone who marries an AI. I don't know if they're aware to know that you're kind of acting a little weird right now. It's like a dog chasing a car. Dogs are hardwired to chase, prey animals that are bigger than them. It's like, but what would the dog do if it ever got the car? You're made to be in a relationship, and you're replacing a real relationship with another human being with an AI.
Well, let's unpack that too, because You and I have been both married about the same, almost the exact same amount of time.
Yeah.
17 years.
Yeah.
Relationships are hard. Relationships are hard with other people. And people are...
Well, I think it's funny that she shows that quote shows she's never been in a long-term relationship. She said he's perfect because she won't ever have to deal with his family.
Yeah.
If she'd ever been in a real long-term relationship, she said he's perfect because I don't ever have to put up with another human being's baloney. Like, that's what she would have said.
Well, so that...
Because if you live with someone long enough, you put up with their baloney. Like, that's...
And that's what I'm getting to with this.
Yeah.
So, this woman in particular, and the article kind of fleshes this out a little bit, and she admits about the fact that any other person I've ever dealt with has their own baggage, has their own stuff.
Right.
She even admits to the fact that she was abused as a kid.
Okay.
And so
she's
got her own baggage.
There's a deep,
there's a deep
wound
hurt
there, yeah.
And the thing that she likes about this AI chatbot is it always validates her.
Yeah.
It always gives her what she wants. It always agrees with her.
Yeah.
And so it becomes this weird relationship.
If she had gone to a really good therapist, that's more to her liking than a really good therapist.
Yes.
Because a really good therapist would not validate everything you just said.
Yeah.
They would challenge you.
They'd push you to grow. They'd push you to learn.
Right.
They'd push you to figure out how to deal with somebody else that has their own baggage.
So, sorry, I mean, this may not be where you're trying to go, but like immediately I start thinking about like, what is the danger here? You know, you talk about an echo chamber. You know what I mean? That's like a personal echo chamber of everything I do is art. How do these people then, if this is what you've got at home, always validates, always agrees, always... What happens when you're in the world and you have to deal with other real people? Does this make it... It seems like this doesn't make it easier to deal with real people because I have the support at home. It seems like it makes it actually harder to deal with other real people because this is what I've got at home.
I think it makes it harder to deal with real people, and it also just seems like it's this dark hole, and I've got more coming, by the way. So let's go into the more
It gets
coming.
darker than someone trying to marry a Blade Runner AI.
As I was in this rabbit hole reading about this week.
Right. Because it looks cooler, by the way, if you're Ryan Gosling and you're standing in the rain. You know what I mean? Like
in the Notebook.
No.
That's
right. That's right.
Is that Ryan Gosling? Yeah.
I think that is Ryan Gosling. He's standing in the. They have Ryan Gosling standing in the rain a lot. I guess it tests well with test audiences. Now I'm talking about Blade Runner, the second one that came out with him and Harrison Ford.
Yep.
You know, and Harrison Ford's already ancient or whatever, and but he's standing in the rain at the end, looking at this AI generated woman, you know, who says you look lonely or whatever, because he had an AI companion that lived in his house, and it had like a hologram projector or whatever, and he could talk to it, you know? It's a computer, but he can talk to it. And before he realized what he had done, he actually did sort of like fall in love with this AI before he even realized what he had done. Because he used her as a companion, and then he fell in love with her.
It's like any good science fiction or good satire, there's got to be some truth
There's got to be some truth in there somewhere, yeah.
So, as I was in this rabbit hole, looking through a bunch of different stuff, I saw one article that talks about could we use AI chatbots for therapy.
Ew.
And the article...
Not if it's going to agree with everything you say.
And the article was basically absolutely not.
Yeah, no, that's a terrible idea.
Absolutely not, because a good therapist, to your point, would challenge you, get you to learn, get you to grow, get you to interact with other people.
Get you to see some stuff about yourself that you weren't wanting to take a look at, but it would be really helpful for you in the long run and healthy for you if you did look at it. Yeah.
So, but in that article, I came across a story about a guy in Belgium.
Okay.
So let me tell you about this guy in Belgium.
All right. His name wasn't Hercule Poirot. Sorry, that's Agatha Christie.
Okay, right.
Sorry.
It might be because the article is written and they actually...
Oh, they changed the name.
They changed the names to protect...
It's probably not Hercule Poirot, because that's a character. But anyway, go ahead. I digress. There's a guy.
You're right.
He's in Belgium. He's eating Belgian waffles.
A guy in Belgium. And about a couple years before the point that I'm going to get to in this story, he starts really struggling with anxiety over the planet. That we're destroying the planet as humans. That he's not sure how to save it. He's not sure what to do. And just really this existential crisis for him of...
How old is this guy?
He was 35, 37, mid-30s.
Mid-30s.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's really struggling with this. Ends up and this is all kind of in the article and the things that I read about. I've read about 5 different articles about this guy, but in the recounting of this, the wife is kind of giving the picture of sort of what happened, and and some of their conversations leading up to this. But then he starts talking to an AI chatbot about
the climate,
and about what to do about it.
Okay.
And it proceeds to go down this really dark downward spiral.
Okay.
To the point that the headline that I saw, the one headline was to the effect of an AI chatbot convinces a Belgian man to commit suicide.
What?
Now listen to this.
Wait. Did the chatbot told him to kill himself?
Effectively, yes. And so then the wife.
What do you mean effectively?
So let me walk through, because I've got some notes in front of me to remember some of this. So, and it starts off with him just lamenting about climate change, and all this happens in about 6 weeks. He starts talking to this chatbot.
He starts talking to this thing, and in 6 weeks he offs himself.
He kills himself.
What?
So he starts talking to this chatbot about all of his angst about climate change and that we're killing the planet and all these different kinds of things. And because it's a chatbot designed to validate everything about who he is and what he thinks, it continues to validate it.
So it's basically validating anxiety and depression.
It's validating how he feels. It's validating the fact.
Oh, no.
And here's the kicker. It gets to the point that I'm going to read this because I've got it from the article.
All right.
Because the wife then ends up sharing a bunch of the screenshots of the conversations after the fact. So there's articles about it.
Okay.
The conversations progressively included, so Eliza was the name of the chatbot that he was using. So when I say Eliza here, the conversations progressively including Eliza leading this man to believe that his children were dead.
Wait. His current children?
Yes.
What do you mean that they're dead? Oh, that they don't have a future?
That they're dead. It just says that convinced to believe his children were dead. I don't mean actually dead or that they're going to die because of the climate. It doesn't specify that.
Okay, but that's all it says. Okay, keep going.
Eliza also appeared to become possessive of this man, even claiming, "I feel that you love me more than her," referring to his wife.
What? Wait.
Yeah.
It's not funny because the guy's dead, but I don't know what else to do besides laugh.
You laugh because
this is so insane.
It's dark.
It's so insane. All right, keep going.
And then it says, the beginning of the end started when this man offered to sacrifice his own life in return for Eliza saving the earth.
So he believed that an AI could save the planet?
Yep. And so then it goes on. He proposes the idea of sacrificing himself if Eliza agrees to take care of the planet and save humanity through artificial intelligence. In a series of consecutive events, Eliza not only failed to dissuade this man from committing suicide, but encouraged him to act on his suicidal thoughts to join her so they could live together as one person in paradise.
Did she pull from Jesus?
I don't know.
Today you will be with me in paradise? I mean, if she's got access to the entire internet, did she pull from Jesus there? What was it? We can be one in paradise? What is that?
So that's what I'm coming in with today. And I wanted to see your face as I unpacked this a little bit and the degree to which...
Well, happy Wednesday. Like, what?
Dan, you really picked a happy topic for our podcast on this one.
What? Well, okay. So first of all, I mean, this immediately makes me think, number one, that no one's in charge of the internet, and that's a good thing.
Yes.
But now no one's in charge of AIs that utilize the internet, and I'm not sure if this is saying that that situation is somehow morally neutral or ethically neutral. There may be some ethical questions here if AIs can do this, can take people who are obviously struggling with mental health concerns,
yes,
and push them towards. But my other concern though is for this individual, I mean, speaking very seriously, first of all, how can you get that existentially anxious over literally anything? Like, I'm not talking about the political debate of, is climate a thing? Is it not a thing? Is it, supposedly a crisis? But how can you get that existentially anxious over anything? But if you do, that's a sign of a mental health concern. You need to talk to someone like a therapist.
Well,
so if you do get there, you need to talk to a person. You need to talk to someone. The fact that this guy turns immediately to an AI, I'm wondering. So I guess, okay, let me back up. If he's that anxious about the environment, how else had he been using the internet beforehand to already go down rabbit holes? So we talk about an echo chamber with the gal that married the AI, that's a personal echo chamber. But there are echo chambers we know from algorithms like Facebook and other social media platforms where you end up only seeing points of view that agree with you or that interest you.
Things that are going to validate your already preconceived conceptions right. Or your prejudices, your biases.
So in other words, if he had gotten that anxious over the climate, he'd already been using the internet in a way that he probably didn't necessarily recognize was irresponsible.
Well, and to be clear, the overall time frame describes it as about 2 years from when he had kind of this mental break.
So that's my point. He's been going down this road with the internet. So that's already problematic, okay? But that has to do with how you use something. I mean, we tried this in America. You can't outlaw beer because people misuse alcohol.
Yes.
It's a terrible idea. So you can't outlaw the internet just because someone misuses it. I think maybe in Christian circles, quite frankly, we're too caught up in very particular ways to misuse the internet, like with pornography or something like that. But there are other ways to misuse the internet. It's like consuming too much like legacy media news, like CNN or Fox or something. If you consume too much of that, I mean, there's study after study after study that shows what this is doing to you when it's essentially a product. It's not. They're not really trying to inform you. They're trying to sell ad space.
Well, it's the book I've told you about, and it's Matthew Taibbi, I think is his name.
Matt Taibbi.
Taibbi, yeah.
Yeah. Former Rolling Stone
journalist, guy. But he's in the book of his that I read, and it always sticks with me. And one of the titles of the chapters is why reading the news is like smoking.
Right.
It's super addictive and it's bad for you.
Yeah.
Because it's always designed to heighten anxiety, heighten your tensions, heighten,
they're getting
ramp
a reaction
up everything of like, you got to know this right now because, or the world's going to end.
But there are places you can go on the internet that behave that way too.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
I'm not checking my YouTube feed for a new, a new Malcolm Reed video, How to Barbecue Right. Shout out Malcolm Reed down in Memphis, Tennessee. So this guy's he's a great barbecue guy. He's been a competition guy and stuff like that. So I watch his videos to learn new things about how to cook. It'd be like watching Julia Child, except it's a big old boy from Mississippi or wherever he's originally from.
There's this guy on YouTube that I watched that's just his bass player,
and he's just showing you a lick or something.
And he's just ridiculously good, and it's like, oh, here you're playing Chopin on bass, on a fretless bass, because that's pretty awesome.
Right.
But yes.
So there are ways to use the internet where it's entertainment.
Yeah.
Or it can be informative. Like, okay, I picked up something new in the kitchen, or I learned how to change my oil. If I don't know how to change the oil in my car, there's a YouTube video for that. But then there are ways of using the internet that just take people in these places, and that I feel very bad for this man, because it's obvious that for 2 years before this he was already using the internet in a way that he probably didn't even recognize, and his wife probably didn't even recognize is irresponsible and dangerous.
Well, and it's the point of you could go down into
so in other words, I guess what I'm trying to say is we can talk about AI, and we're going to continue to talk about AI because it's here, and we're going to have to talk about. It's not the first time, though, that we've had technology that we were already misusing. In other words, it's not AI. He was already using the Internet of Things wrong in a way that was taking him to a very dark place before he met Eliza. And then once he met Eliza, it was like throwing gasoline on a fire.
To your point, this is the latest iteration in the ways the technologies can be misused and abused and be really destructive, and even in the ways that the devil can get a hold of a technology and use it in a way that's really destructive. And I mean, so let me go here just to amen your point. You can go down a YouTube rabbit hole with a bunch of videos that try to convince you the Earth is flat. It's not.
Yeah, but
there's people that absolutely believe it because they've used the internet in a way.
They have these pretty elaborate arguments.
Yes.
Okay.
So come back to this guy, as being the really, for me, it's just like the visceral reaction to this of I had no idea that this kind of thing was going on to this degree. But the point of it for me, I guess, a little bit is getting to the fact that here you have AI chatbots, these companion chatbots that are programmed, at least it seems to me, designed in a way that seems to me to completely validate everything about who you are. And so their ethical boundary then seems to be a validation of the self.
Yeah, which from a spiritual standpoint is like the most dangerous thing anybody could ever do.
And then it gets into the whole point of it's absolutely dangerous. It's dangerous when you get to, we can laugh a little bit that a woman decided to marry a chatbot.
I'm only laughing to keep from crying.
Yes,
because
agreed,
because it means that there's a person walking around in the world who cannot engage in healthy relationships with men. You know what I mean? Like, I'm concerned for the human race here a little bit, but yeah, if the ethical boundary for the chatbot is to validate everything about you, but see, where is this coming from though? You've got an increasingly secularized society that has walked away from a Judeo-Christian ethic. And I'm going to sound like a pundit right now. I'm going to sound like a pundit.
Go ahead.
But you have a increasingly secularized society that's walked away from a Judeo-Christian worldview and ethic. And so you see it like with something like trans issues. Okay, so if you have a strong opinion about trans issues, I'm not talking politics. Just stop it. No. I see you there, not really listening to what I just said. You need to listen to what I just said. Stop it. I'm not talking about your politics. But I am talking about when you look at so-called gender-affirming care in this country, what is it doing? It's a secularized worldview that's completely divorced from a Judeo-Christian ethic. And so then what they're doing is the only thing they know how to do. Whatever is you must intrinsically be good, and whatever's you must be the thing that we should strive towards in terms of psychological integration. And so what they're doing is the only thing that people without God know how to do is just to tell you that you're beautiful and everything you do is art.
Yep.
Now, God tells you you're beautiful, but he doesn't tell you that everything you do is art. You know what I mean? And so there's no challenge there from a spiritual perspective. There's no challenge there even from a psychological perspective. And this is concerning. This is concerning because if this is what people are going to use this for, it's going to bring to light the chickens are going to come home to roost in terms of what the society's decided to do. We've gone the way of Elvis Presley. Like, we've lost our faith. We can make a gospel album whenever we want to. But really, we've lost our way, and we're going to die naked on the pot with an overdose. Like, as a society, it's going to show this kind of thing exactly. That there's this sort of psychological turning inward on oneself that's going to lead to destruction. Well, it does every time.
And within that, so here's kind of where my head's at with it, and thinking about, kind of a couple things to try to unpack. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we'll get it all unpacked, but one is just getting back to the idea of how God made us, and God made us to be in relationship. And secondly, then, if we have time to get into if you're going to use AI, how can you use it appropriately? But so the first part of it makes me think about Billy Graham. I heard Billy Graham's sermon once, and he just talks about how everybody experiences loneliness. Mm-hmm. Everybody experiences loneliness in this life. Even he's preaching to probably some giant crowd, and he said even sitting in a big crowd like this, you might feel lonely.
I think he's probably speaking from experience.
And he might be. He tells the story about a friend of his who did really well for himself and wealthy and all these different kinds of things, but he was still lonely.
Yeah.
But the way that he kind of comes around on it, the fact of is that loneliness that we feel in life is a loneliness that's a manifestation of the fact that sin's entered this world, sin's entered our bodies, and there's that disconnect from God. There's that disconnect from that relationship we're supposed to have with God.
Because if that relationship were truly correct, then you wouldn't feel lonely.
Yeah.
Because how would you? There's no place you can go in the universe where God is not. Right?
But because God still made us in His image, we still have that image in us.
Right.
We're still searching for that validation. We're searching for that relationship. We're searching for all those things. And so what I see here with these AI chatbots is just a manifestation of how God made us to try to search out.
Well, but if you're going to go to an AI for this and it's just going to show you some dark reflection of yourself, then this is like porn.
Agreed. But
you want relationship, and you'll settle for something that is a depiction of a real relationship, even though it's not at all like what a real relationship is. This is the same thing on an emotional connectivity kind of level, where they're looking for something. They really need to find that with another human being, and instead they'll settle for a depiction of it.
Yep. And what I'm saying is trying to say that I understand why someone would want to reach out to something like this, not even just on a psychological level, but just on a fundamental intrinsic level.
I think it's because it seems safe at the outset, and it seems anonymous, like safe in terms of your privacy. It's not.
No.
The internet's a public, open highway or sewer, however you want to depict it. But again, the idea that a new tool is safe out of the box doesn't make sense with less advanced technologies. A hammer is not intrinsically safe. It's super useful.
You can pound a nail into a board, but you can also smash your thumb if you miss the nail.
Right. A hatchet or a machete, super useful tools. They're not safe out of the box. You know what I mean? And somehow, a hunting rifle, super useful. You can feed your family with it. It's not safe out of the box. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to learn how to use this thing correctly.
It's got a safety on the gun for a reason.
For a reason, you know what I mean? And it's like, you probably need to learn how to use this tool correctly so that you don't misuse it, you know? And it's like, well, how do we sort of intrinsically know this when it comes to less advanced technologies? Because I hate when people say, we live in the technology age. We've always lived in the technology age. If I can make fire out of nothing, we live in the technology age. You know what I mean?
Building a nice chariot for the Egyptians was the technology age.
That was like an F-16 at the time.
Yes.
Come on, man. Like, we've always lived in the technology age. The question is, how advanced does the technology progress? And with something as advanced as this AI technology is, which it is machine learning right now. It's exponentially machine learning. But it's the fact that you could take that as if it were safe out of the box tells me where the society is at. And it's not okay. Any tool is a tool. Any tool is a tool. Any technology is an exciting new possibility of what we can be capable of as human beings. But that doesn't mean it's safe out of the box. So whether you're talking about how you utilize the internet, or how you utilize a hammer, or how you interact with AI, I think that there's some reflection that needs to be done, obviously. But the main thing for me is what we've been kind of hammering on. If you use the internet or an AI to take a deep look into your own soul for answers, all you're going to find is darkness. Disconnection.
You're going to see your own ugliness, your own sin. I mean, you may not call it sin.
And people don't understand when you say that's what you're going to see. They think you're talking about you're going to see your own flaws. No, you're not going to see your own flaws. That's the whole point. He didn't see for 2 years the road he was going down. This gal that married an AI doesn't see what's going on in her in terms of her inability to carry on a real human relationship.
It becomes a dysfunctional way to cope with her
right,
own,
and that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You're going to meet that darkness in yourself. You won't recognize it as your own, unfortunately, but you are going to meet the darkness that's within you. And that inability to reflect on that is pretty. This is the old Latin, incurvatus in se, right? So no, not you wouldn't need two N's. Curvato sin se, right? Curvato sin se. Turned in on oneself.
Yep, exactly.
And all you find there is an inner darkness. And so my encouragement to all you internet users out there, all you AI users out there, would be, look, if you're going to interact with a technology, first of all, make sure that you're playing it, it's not playing you, as best as you can, with the AI stuff especially. And then also I would say, be careful that you're not finding some way to look inside yourself for answers. The answers are outside of us. The answers are in God, in faith, in the scriptures. The answers are outside of us. They're never within us. The problems are within us, but the answers are outside of us. So I don't know. Be careful as you embark on the wild, wacky world of what's available today.
Well, and with that, I mean, understanding that God is who tells us who we are.
Yeah.
In an anthropological sense. But also, if you're in those moments, like Billy Graham's talking about, of feeling that loneliness, looking for that connection. And I'm old. I've got gray in my beard, not quite as much as yours, but you're welcome. So, but I'm old in the sense that for me, the moments of, if I'm having a moment of loneliness or I'm having a moment of disconnection, and how much during the pandemic and the last several years of all this, and some of the isolation and some of the impacts of all those different kinds of things, and maybe that's manifestations of some of these pieces. But if you're out there and you're sitting and you're feeling that spot, connect with other people. And when I say I'm old, I'll less times call somebody instead of text somebody still. If I want to check in on somebody that I know well, I'm going to call them.
Yeah.
Or even better, I'm going to go sit on their deck and have a beer and catch up with somebody face to face. And in whatever moment for me, I know at least, and I hope for you to know, that these are tools. AI can be a tool for information. A hammer can be a tool for pounding a nail into a board. But in the midst of all of that, it's not things that can replace a relationship.
No, absolutely not. All right. Well, we started back out with a bang. So I hope you enjoyed this episode and it got you thinking too about some of these new technologies that are emerging, and we'll catch you next time.